Saturday, February 28, 2026. It was 2:30 in the morning on the East Coast when the President of the United States went on camera and told the world what was already happening. America was at war with Iran. Not a warning, not a negotiation, not a sanctions package. War. To understand what happened on that Saturday night, you have to go back, because this didn't start with a single spark. For months, the Trump administration had been laying the groundwork. The U.S. Treasury deliberately engineered a dollar shortage inside Iran, sending the Iranian rial into freefall and igniting street protests across the country. Economic warfare before the shooting ever started. Meanwhile, diplomatic talks were quietly collapsing. Just 3 weeks earlier, American and Iranian negotiators met in Muscat, Oman, for indirect nuclear talks. A second round was being planned for Geneva. Then, on February 25th, Iran's own foreign minister announced a historic agreement had been reached. Iran had apparently agreed to never stockpile enriched uranium. Full IAEA verification. The works. 2 days later, bombs were falling on Tehran. On the evening of February 27th, Oman's foreign minister told the world that a diplomatic breakthrough had been reached. By the next morning, American stealth aircraft and Israeli fighter jets were already in the air. At 2:30 a.m. Eastern Time, President Trump released an 8-minute video statement to the nation. The operation had already begun. Its objectives were 3 things: destroy Iran's nuclear and missile programs, eliminate its naval forces, and for the first time in American history, openly call for regime change in Tehran. Trump looked directly into the camera and told the Iranian people their country would be, quote, yours to take. What followed was one of the most massive coordinated military operations since World War II. Over 2,000 strikes in the first 24 hours. Israel's Air Force dropped more than 1,200 munitions across 24 of Iran's 31 provinces. 2 full U.S. carrier strike groups were deployed, the USS Abraham Lincoln in the Arabian Sea, the USS Gerald R. Ford off Israel's coast. More than 150 aircraft, dozens of warships. The targets? Tehran, Isfahan, Qom, Karaj, Kermanshah, the Ministry of Intelligence, the Ministry of Defense, the Parchin military complex, Iran's state broadcaster, and the compound known as Leadership House, the personal residence of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. Israel hit the Assembly of Experts, Iran's clerical council, while they were mid-session, actively meeting to choose Khamenei's successor. By Sunday morning, Khamenei was dead. His wife died of her injuries 2 days later. Iran's chief of staff, Lieutenant General Mousavi, gone. Thousands of IRGC personnel, including multiple senior commanders, killed or wounded. Israel announced it had dismantled Iran's air defense systems across western and central Iran. For the first time in 47 years, Iranian airspace belonged to someone else. Iran called its response Operation True Promise 4, the fourth in a series dating back years. But this one was different. This one was everything they had. Within hours, Iran launched waves of ballistic missiles and drones, not just at Israel, but across the entire region. They hit the headquarters of the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. They targeted airports in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. They struck residential neighborhoods in Manama. They launched strikes at American military bases across 9 separate countries. An Iranian drone hit a British Royal Air Force base on Cyprus. The IRGC announced that all 27 American installations across the Middle East were now legitimate targets. The UAE's air defenses alone intercepted over 165 ballistic missiles and more than 500 drones. Jordan shot down 49 more, crossing their airspace. Then Iran made its biggest move. It announced the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow choke point through which roughly 1/5 of the entire world's oil supply passes. Major shipping companies immediately suspended all transit. The global oil market went into freefall. In central Israel, A ballistic missile struck the town of Beit Shemesh. At least 40 buildings in Tel Aviv were damaged. An Israeli school was hit. And in Iran's southern city of Minab, in a strike that will be debated for years, an Israeli airstrike hit an elementary girls' school. The death toll, 180 children. By Tuesday, the numbers were already staggering. At least 787 Iranians confirmed dead according to the Red Crescent, with thousands more wounded, and an unknown number of IRGC personnel killed across the country's military bases. 6 American soldiers confirmed dead. Casualties in Gulf states. Civilian workers caught in the crossfire. In Tehran, state television anchors wept on live air. Iran declared 40 days of national mourning. Millions filled the streets. Back in Washington, Congress was in an uproar. Senior members who had been quietly briefed in advance said nothing publicly. The broader Congress was never consulted. No formal declaration of war. No authorization for the use of military force. Just an 8-minute video in a country already at war. Pentagon officials reportedly told closed-door congressional sessions that intelligence had never actually confirmed Iran was planning a preemptive strike on American forces. Critics immediately drew the comparison everyone was thinking: Iraq, 2003. The same language about weapons of mass destruction. The same shortcuts around Congress. The same urgency. China called it unacceptable. Russia's Putin called the killing of Khamenei a cynical murder. North Korea condemned it. The UN Security Council met in emergency session. And yet, the bombs kept falling. President Trump said the operation would last 4 to 5 weeks. He was blunt. Heavy and precise bombing would, quote, continue uninterrupted throughout the week or as long as necessary. The stated goal is regime change. Not just degrading Iran's military, removing the Islamic Republic entirely, an objective no American president has ever formally pursued through open military force. The question every analyst in Washington is now asking: does it actually work? History is not encouraging. Iran's theocracy has survived 47 years. A brutal 8-year war with Iraq, decades of crippling sanctions, mass uprisings, multiple covert sabotage campaigns that destroyed nuclear centrifuges and killed top scientists. It has a hardened base of support. Its military is battered, but not destroyed. And popular anger at foreign attacks has a way of closing ranks, even around governments people hate. There are also the nuclear questions. The IAEA confirmed it found no evidence that Iran's actual nuclear facilities were struck. If those sites are still intact, this entire operation may not have stopped a nuclear Iran. It may have accelerated it. The region is on fire. Hezbollah has resumed rocket attacks from Lebanon. Iraqi militia groups are retaliating. American troops across the Middle East are at their highest alert in years. The Strait of Hormuz, the jugular vein of the global oil supply, remains closed. And one more thing to watch: the day after. Even if the Iranian government falls, what comes next? History is full of examples where removing a regime created something worse. The Trump administration says it wants a free Iran. Getting there is a different story entirely. Whatever you think about the politics, whether you believe this was necessary national security or a catastrophic overreach, one thing is undeniable. February 28, 2026 was a before and after moment. The Middle East that existed on Friday no longer exists. The rules that governed American foreign policy for decades were rewritten in a single night. No heads of state. No wars without Congress. No breaking agreements mid-negotiation. All of that changed. Trump told the Iranian people they would get their country back. What that country looks like on the other side, what the entire region looks like, is a question that nobody in Washington, Tel Aviv, or Tehran can answer right now. The war is 4 days old, and the world is watching.